All right. Today I'm going to title this vlog Show and Tell. And the reason I'm saying that, I've had people ask me in private message and emails and actually a few phone calls, what can I do? How can I put some kind of money in reserve? Now I'm going to show you one way, and it's how to reclaim gold from computer components, TVs, whatever. I've put away about 3 or 4 ounces doing this. You need to do it in a well-ventilated place, and to say I don't use acid is not entirely true, because most people don't realize vinegar is an acid. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you, this is a printer cartridge off of my printer. You turn it around like that. I don't know if you can see them or not, little gold dots right there. Here's what you do. You get an X-Acto knife and you pull those off of there. Same with this. Now, I haven't done it with this one. This is a very expensive computer chip. You see those little gold things there? Those are foils, gold foils. Now, put this back where it goes. You put that whole computer chip in a jar, preferably a glass one, but you can use a large plastic jar if you need to. And the fastest, best way to do this is what I'm getting ready to tell you. You go ahead, you put computer chips, you put the whole chip. You could put the whole this whole thing in there if you wanted to. The problem is ink will come out of it into the solution. You put it in a jar, you cover everything. I use a gallon jar usually, and that's my wife's rooster out in the chicken pen that way from us. But anyway, actually that way from us. There he is again. You go ahead, always a critic. Every program there's always a critic. You put these things into a jar. You cover it with a goodly amount of vinegar, and you take about a heaping tablespoon of salt and you put it in there. You shake it up so the salt is diluted. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can just leave it in there, or what you can do is get an oxygenator for an aquarium, and you run the tubing down into the jar, and you start the bubbles flowing. What that does, it takes about a week, and it dissolves the glue under. Oh, this is getting on my nerves, but that's okay. He's going to be short-lived as soon as my wife gets her ducks moved. Anyway, she's got new ducks coming. Anyway, you put the computer chips, whatever you can find, either like this. Now, underneath these little black things here, there are fine gold wires underneath there, but you get the foils off. You dissolve them for about a week. Takes about that long. Takes longer if you don't have the air bubbling up, and you shake this thing up every day at least once, and you put it. What happens, not all the glue comes off of it, and I'll tell you how to get it off in a minute. You put the you take the foils will come off. You go ahead and you take a colander big metal or plastic colander, you dump that into it, you have a pot to catch it underneath, you rinse it off, and what happens, the foils will be either float on top or they'll be in the bottom. Then you get this never fails. I'm being interfered with by a rooster when I'm trying to help people figure out how to make them, how to develop a little bit of gold. This is making me very angry to the point I might go out and solve the stupid rooster's problem. I'm not above doing that. He finally quit. I will try to finish this. You go ahead and you take the foils out. What you do is you strain the pot underneath where the foils are through another catchment that has a coffee filter or a fine mesh tea filter. You take those foils, you gather them up, you put them in a much smaller jar, and you pour hydrogen peroxide into it and leave it for about 3, 4, 5 days. What that does, that gets rid of all the glue off the back of these foils. Now, here's the deal. There'll be some foils left on the chips and stuff that you've put in a big jar that you're dissolving with vinegar and salt. Now, if you want to see how corrosive vinegar can be, is take some, put a little salt in it, put it in a glass jar, and put a penny in there. It will completely dissolve the copper off of the steel that's inside that penny, zinc or whatever they use. It's very corrosive. But the thing is, I figured out a way to do this without the fumes getting you. And I've got people that are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. The proof's in the pudding, folks. Just try it. Then after you do that and you've got all the foils set up, you need to smelt them. Now, this is a new, clean crucible. These aren't real expensive. You can get them on Amazon, eBay. This is one I used for a long time. It's still got bits of melted gold and every other thing down in the bottom of it, and it has kind of a glaze. You can see the glaze in there. The reason the glaze is there is what you have to do is put some borax in it. You go buy some 20 Mule Team borax at the grocery store. That's all you need. You put a little bit. You don't put a whole lot of it in there. But what the borax does is when you're smelting that gold, it draws off the impurities. And sometimes, well, I'll show you. I did the same thing with silver. I've got some stuff melted down in the bottom right hand drawer. This is a plug of silver. That black stuff in the middle, that is where the borax pulled the impurities. And you just have to grind it out, scrape it out or whatever. I'm not done with this. I'm going to make a ring out of it. See what I can find down here. Might not be able to find anything. Okay. This is an unpolished. It's about 8 carat. It's got a bunch of burnt stuff. I haven't further refined it. That is a chunk of gold come out of some cute computer stuff that my buddy Jerry gave me to smelt and get the gold out of it. It takes time. It is not something that is not very fast. That's what you've got to understand. It's not going to be bam all of a sudden. And if you're doing large amounts, you get a larger crucible. I think that one cost me $11, and they included this handy little thing. You're going to have to take something. I built a stand for it out of a metal clothes hanger. Now, what do I melt it with? This is a Bernzomatic torch. It's got an automatic torch head on it. That will not get hot enough to do a really good job on smelting it down. And it leaves a lot of trash. This is a MAP torch. Bernzomatic MAP gas. It's called MAP Pro. Well, I'm about out of fuel. It does the same thing. It makes a much, well, I'm about out of fuel. I've got to go buy more. I don't do this very much anymore. The reason being, I've got too many other things taking my time. And this is the last thing. And you need to be very careful with one of these. This is a gold testing kit. It gives you that this is acid. The lowest amount is 10 carat. That's the yellow. And then it has a 14 carat. And then it has an 18 carat with red lid. What you do, you take whatever it is you're testing, and this is a testing stone. You scratch it on there, then you go ahead and you take those acids and you put a drop. And if it leaves the scratch, and you can definitely see that you can see the scratch underneath the acid. You get, if it's 10 carat, the 14 carat will burn the scratch off. If it is 14 carat, the 18 carat, and so on and so up. What happens when you do all that, it creates a situation where you can tell the approximate carat weight. I also have a little electronic deal, and I don't know where I put it. You've seen the inside of my office. It is totally full of stuff. That is my one suggestion on getting you some precious metal, because if we go to a cashless society, there are guys that are going to be out there that know how to test for gold content, and they will. They also know how to test silver content, and they will. I've told everybody I have a coin collection. This is some of my junk silver right here. It's just stuff I've picked up. This is all 90% silver. You can go ahead and melt that stuff down, and the borax will pull the other metals out, and you can go literally to 999 fine on the silver. That's the program for today, folks, and I'm sorry about the rooster crowing in the background. When my wife watches this later, she's going to have fun. And once again, without the pawpaw hat on, the rooster and I are reminding you, be kind.